Jay Gabler, arts and entertainment reporter, here with another special episode of the DNT Minute featuring my column, Front Row Seat. This week, I stepped into a historic, very historic, legitimately historic, we call a lot of things historic here in Duluth, but this is pretty historic. Anyway, a space I had never visited before, and I learned all about Greysolon Ballroom. When I met Julie Thoresen at Greysolon Ballroom last week, she was ready with a photocopy of the Duluth Herald's coverage of the 1925 opening of the building then known as the Hotel Duluth. The news filled an entire issue. 2 days of the gayest social affairs in the history of Duluth were planned for the occasion, the Herald reported above an ad for Arco Coffee. The special issue went on to detail attractions such as a Hotel Duluth barbershop, described as the last word in up-to-date tonsorial parlors in Minnesota. Also, the enormous expense of building the hotel, $2.4 million, the equivalent of $41.4 million today, and the sheer majesty of what, in the unanimous opinion of early visitors, was the most attractive hotel in the entire country. Thoresen didn't make any claims quite so bold, but she and her staff are proud of what they've done to maintain an absolute gem for the city, she said while standing in the lobby. The ornate space with gilded detailing and a mezzanine circling the perimeter still looks much as it did 98 years ago. The former Hotel Duluth hasn't served its original purpose since the 1980s. The hotel's 450 guest rooms were converted into 150 senior apartments, which the rooms remain to this day under the ownership of a New Jersey firm, Orbach Affordable Housing Solutions. The Blackwoods Group leases the building's entertainment spaces from Orbach and has no intention of leaving, said Thoresen. The building dates to an era when grand hotels were must-have signposts of confidence and prosperity for cities aspiring to prominence. The towering new Hotel Duluth stole some shine from existing establishments, which one after another met the wrecking ball as long periods passed between downtown hotel openings. When the space-age Radisson debuted to great fanfare in 1970, for some older Duluthians it must have echoed the swelling of civic pride 45 years earlier. In short, they don't make them like this anymore. The space's unique character has made it a perennial go-to for business groups, college ceremonies, and benefit galas. Most frequently, though, the Greysolon Ballroom and Moorish Room host weddings, around 100 a year, with most of the happy couples coming up from the Twin Cities for a Duluth destination wedding. The 3,780 square foot ballroom occupies the heart of the horseshoe-shaped Italian Renaissance building. It's a vault of cream and chandeliers, with gauzy curtains softening the light from tall windows looking over the historic Arts and Theater District. Rooms branching off a perimeter hallway include spaces where to-be spouses commonly prep with their respective entourages, a spacious bar area, and a dining room suitable for groups of 2 or 3 dozen. After the ballroom, the venue's next biggest space is the 3,400 square foot Moorish Room. Originally the hotel's Spanish dining room, the Moorish Room has been seen on screen in Mary Kiss Cam. A scene from the movie Iron Will was filmed just outside in the hotel lobby. Whatever thoughts the hotel's initial visitors might have had about the specifics of the room's imagery and architecture are lost deep in the historical record. The style known as Moorish Revival, incorporating a term historically used by Western Europeans to describe the continent's Muslim communities, would have evoked a sense of cosmopolitan luxury for Duluth's white business barons of the 1920s. When the hotel opened, the Herald seemed most impressed by the room's facade, complete with windows, awnings, and hand-hammered copper and iron torchieres, beckoning diners in from the lobby. The paper wrote, "The entire outside of the dining room suggests an outdoor atmosphere and makes one feel that he is standing on some main street in Spain instead of in the lobby of Hotel Duluth." Thoresen is co-owner of the Blackwoods Group, a family company that owns restaurants in Duluth, Two Harbors, and Proctor. They've run the Greysolon spaces for 20 years, said Thoresen. She and her sister, Jax Eisenman, the venue's director of sales, described the challenges of persevering through recent years' pandemic lockdowns. As music from Bridgerton played in the West Wing Lounge, Eisenman said, "There were no weddings for 2 years. We had to counsel all the people who had invested their hearts with us and their financial livelihood. When I'd walk in and there was nobody here and I just hear the music playing, I would feel the absolute emotion. of knowing that we'd get here, with events resuming someday, and so made a commitment to stay in place. It's a labor of love because there's always something that needs to be fixed, said Thorson about maintaining the Coolidge-era venue. Framed photos document the hotel's history, which included hosting John F. Kennedy less than 2 months before his death in fall 1963. There's also a photo of a visiting B.B. Shop, who in 1948 became the first Minnesota contestant crowned Miss America. Thorson also led us into a facility that, in 1925, got more ink than the entire downstairs dining room. Noting the lavish polychrome tile decorating a women's room off the mezzanine, the Herald described a feature that's still appreciated today. The facility has 6 private powder and toilet rooms, the paper explained, with washbowl, mirror, and mirror door. The doors close on the inside, giving each woman full privacy. Looking at one of the aquatic figures pictured in bas relief in the powder room antechamber, Eisenman mused, "Think of what she's seen." "Is this haunted?" Photographer Clint Austin came out with a question I didn't dare to ask, though I'd been reminded of The Shining even before I saw the Herald's photo of the 2 monster boilers that originally heated the hotel. "I don't know that I would call it haunted," replied Eisenman, "because it's always been joyful." Thorson then alluded to a supposed ghost at Blackwood's 2 Harbors restaurant, but that's another story for another day. While many Greysolon events are private, people looking to take a look inside the historic spaces do have regular opportunities through ticketed events like this weekend's Mother's Day family dinner dance and a Mother's Day ballroom brunch buffet. Thorson also said her company is planning a really big 100th birthday bash to take place in 2 years' time. "We do want to open it up to the community," Thorson said. "If you live here, you should see this." That's this week's column. I'll be back next week with a report on a very different kind of aesthetic experience, much more DIY, at a brand new venue here in Duluth associated with an artist collective that promises a very immersive appetizer experience. No idea how that's going to go, but you can read all about it next week in Front Row Seat and here on the DNT Minute Podcast. Until then, I'm Jay Gabler, Duluth News Tribune.